welcome. I hope you will stick around and consider subscribing. As you can tell by the title above, I am pregnant. So I am 15 weeks and 6 days pregnant as I'm filming this, which is Wednesday, June 24th. So tomorrow, Thursday, June 25th, I will be 16 weeks pregnant. I would just love to share with you all my experience and talk about how we found out we were pregnant and what the first trimester was like. So I am going to start by telling you the story of how we found out we were pregnant. So it is the morning of April 3rd, 2020. My husband and I were fast asleep in bed. It was around 5:30, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to get up and use the restroom, and I remembered that this was the day that I could test for pregnancy. Pregnancy tests are most accurate with first morning urine, so I didn't want to waste my first morning urine, so I just decided to get up and I went into our bathroom. Obviously, I used the restroom and I did the test in, and I put a timer on my phone for 3 minutes, which is the amount of time that it takes for the results to show up. And I turned my back to the test, and we had been trying for almost a year. So after seeing months and months and months of negative tests, it was very discouraging. And I washed my hands and I prayed. I prayed so hard, and I asked God that whatever He had in store for me, please let it be done, and please help me to stop worrying about this, whether the test is negative or positive. The timer went off, my phone buzzed in my hand, and I turned around fully expecting to see a negative test, and lo and behold, right in front of my face were 2 pink lines, and my jaw just dropped. I was so in shock, and I was hyperventilating. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And usually it takes me about like 2 minutes to go to the bathroom, and I had been in the bathroom for about 6 minutes. So my husband knocked on the door and was like, you okay, babe? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. So I kind of had this little debate in my head as to whether or not I wanted to create some sort of display for him to say oh, we're pregnant. But I just decided that, this was a really special moment. I was excited and I just couldn't wait to tell him. So I walked out of the bathroom and I told my husband, turn on the light. So he turned on the bedside light, and he was like half asleep by the light, which is funny. So I held out the test in front of him and I said 2 lines, and he asked me, does that mean you're pregnant? And I said yes, and we were both so excited. My husband gave me the biggest smile, and he pulled me into bed and hugged me and told me that this was finally our moment and that he loved me and we're going to be, a beautiful family and all this really happy things. I looked on my app that I was tracking my menstrual cycles, and based on my app, it told me I was about 4 weeks and 4 days, approximately, give or take. I called my doctor and told them I received a positive pregnancy test. They ordered a HCG serum test. It was a Friday when we found out, so they said, come in, have your blood taken today, and then on Monday, 48 hours later, we'll have another blood sample taken to make sure your HCG levels are rising appropriately. My husband and I were super happy, and we geared up, we put our masks on and we had gloves on, and we went over to the hospital lab and I got my blood drawn, and I received the results later that night, and my starting HCG was 303.9 and my progesterone was at a 96. But as soon as I saw those results, I was just thinking, well, they have to rise. And I was extremely nervous that we were gonna, lose this pregnancy that we had wanted so bad. I came across this quote on Pinterest that said, refuse to be afraid of what will happen to you because God is faithful and will take care of you if you trust Him. And that brought me a lot of comfort, and that still brings me a lot of comfort to this day in my pregnancy. The following Monday, we went in bright and early, and I had another lab taken, and I was so nervous for this one. I wanted the levels to rise so bad. Later on that night, we got the results, and my HCG had gone up to 903.3 or 903.9, something like that. My husband and I were over the moon, and we were just so excited and so happy. I was a little afraid at first, and it took a while for me to really let it sink in that I was pregnant. And after we had confirmed our pregnancy with that second HCG test, we made an appointment with my endocrinologist and my OBGYN. Those symptoms that told me I was pregnant, I wish I could give you this huge list of symptoms that I had, but to be honest, I really didn't have any symptoms or really anything that made me think I was pregnant. My true pregnancy symptoms didn't show up until about a week or two after my period was due. In the past, when I would be in the middle of my cycle, I would think I would be experiencing a bunch of pregnancy symptoms, and then the test would be negative, which was just really odd and really weird. But sometimes you just get so excited for something, your brain just kind of just tricks you into thinking that, you know, you're pregnant when you're not. So that was really crazy. I did notice a couple weird things going on. So the first being, I was extremely thirsty. Being a diabetic, I drink a lot of water. I just drank a lot because of, you know, that's just one, that's a part of who I am. I've always drank a lot of liquids and water and things like that, and that's just kind of a weird quirk of mine. But number two, I'm a diabetic, and you know, diabetics tend to drink a lot when they're drink a lot of water, that is, when their blood sugar is high. I was extremely thirsty. I would always have water or iced tea or Gatorade or something near me. Like, I just couldn't get enough liquids to hydrate me. It was kind of crazy, but I was just thinking, like, this is a little weird. Another thing I noticed was my low blood sugars at night. The week leading up to me taking the pregnancy test, I was dropping to about 46, maybe even down to 30 every single night. The next symptom I noticed was I was so quick to snap at people. I remember my husband asking me a question, and I never get angry, I never snap at anybody, and I hardly ever get, you know, frustrated. But this question, I don't even remember what it was now. It just made me so angry and so mad. So I knew that my emotions were a little out of whack, and I broke down crying as soon as I snapped, and I told him I was sorry, and he said it was okay. And I'm a very emotional person, but I'm not usually this emotional. The first trimester, they always say the first trimester is the most fragile of all trimesters of pregnancy because it is where the most things can happen, whether they're good or bad. So because this was our first true confirmed pregnancy, my husband and I made the decision to not tell anyone about it other than our doctors until I had an ultrasound with a confirmed heartbeat and an ultrasound picture to confirm that there is a baby growing inside me. We had to wait until my OBGYN appointment, which was at 7 weeks and 1 day, to tell our families. And I was honestly okay with it because I was able just to focus on me and the baby and just feeling as best I could the whole time. The first couple weeks I felt pretty normal. I was very tired though. I remember taking a nap around 1 o'clock every single day. I was making sure I was getting plenty of rest and staying hydrated, really staying on top of my water intake. I started to feel nauseous around maybe 6 or 7 weeks. Some foods I couldn't stand were peanut butter, pork, onions, or even chicken wings. Chicken wings I still can't stand. Chicken wings I just throw up immediately. I can't stand them, which is weird because I really do like chicken. There would be days where I didn't want to eat anything because my nausea and my food aversions were so bad, and I would have to force myself to eat something. The things that helped me most were Preggy Pops, which are basically like sour candies. So if you've ever had a Jolly Rancher, these are, you know, just little candies that you eat, and they're very sour and they have a lot of flavor, and they kind of suppress that nauseous feeling. And I also drink a lot of lemonade. The Simply Lemonade raspberry lemonade is my absolute favorite and helps me every time I'm feeling nauseous. I threw up around 9 weeks and 2 days because I was hungry and I decided to eat some cashews randomly, and I guess the baby didn't like cashews, so I automatically threw it up, and I still have a problem eating nuts to this day. So I just had a lot of nausea and a lot of moments where I thought I was for sure gonna throw up, so I just had to stay really on top of drinking my lemonade and staying hydrated. I had my first appointment with my endocrinologist pretty soon after we found out that we were pregnant, and I told her the news. She was over the moon, but immediately we got to work on my blood sugars. At the time, I had a prescription for the Dexcom G6, but I just hadn't ordered it. So she told me to get that prescription filled, get it on my body, and that would help her better control my numbers. My starting A1C was 7.8, which is not good. I was determined to get my A1C down, so we made a lot of changes on my insulin pump. And I told her I had an appointment with my OBGYN, and she actually recommended that I see a maternal fetal medicine doctor because I am a high-risk pregnancy. And she gave me the name of one, and I made an appointment with him instead of my regular OBGYN. Finally, when I was at 7 weeks and 1 day pregnant, I had my first appointment with my high-risk OB, and I woke up feeling so nervous. So before my appointment, I prayed and I held my rosary that my grandmother made for me, and I asked God to just protect my baby and to protect my new growing family as best as he could, and I just put all my trust in him, and I took my rosary and I left for my appointment. When I got in, the first thing that they did was have me weighed, and they got my starting weight, and they took me into the ultrasound room. Now, because we are in a pandemic and there are many restrictions on doctors' offices, my husband unfortunately was not able to be there with me, which was really hard for me, but I was able to FaceTime him during the ultrasound appointment. So the nurse brought me into the ultrasound room and got me set up and told me, okay, well, I'll let you undress from the waist down, and then I'll come back in and we'll start the ultrasound. I undressed and I got on the table and FaceTimed my husband, and then the nurse came in and it was time to start the ultrasound, and my heart was pounding out of my chest and I was sweating and I just couldn't even think straight. And right away, right when the ultrasound one touched my body, we found the baby and there was a blinking heartbeat. And I will never forget that moment. I immediately started crying, and it was beautiful, and the baby had a really strong, beautiful heartbeat. The heartbeat was 151, and it was just the most beautiful moment I could have ever asked for, and it was perfect. And I got my first baby pictures, which was super exciting and just so lovely, and I'm so blessed to have had that experience, and I thank God every day for it. After my ultrasound, I went in to meet with the actual doctor who would be, delivering me and treating me, and he was super nice. I asked him a few questions, and he, got a feel for, who I am and my medical history, and, asked about my diabetes and my diagnosis story. And we had a great conversation, and then they scheduled me for my next appointment, and I left. As soon as I got home, I was so excited, and my husband and I agreed that we could tell our families. So we had a list. We made a big list of people that we were going to call. So we called all of our parents and our siblings and our grandparents, and those were the only people that we wanted to tell to begin with, and everybody was thrilled. Everybody was really, really excited, and they were just really hopeful and prayerful that this would be a really healthy and successful pregnancy. Following telling our parents in my first ultrasound, I continued to feel nauseous and I continued to feel sick up until about 14 weeks. So it's been about maybe a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks since I've actually been feeling really good. The gender reveal. At first, my husband and I were really adamant on waiting until birth to figure out the gender, but at my 10-week appointment, I was about 10 weeks and 4 days, they told us that we were able to get blood work done for the genetic testing and also for the gender. And I decided to go ahead with all the testing, and I told my husband, you know, they'll know the gender by next week, by, you know, the week after Memorial Day. And he just looked at me and he goes, now I want to know. So we decided that we were going to figure out the gender and see what we were going to have. I have always been kind of against gender reveal parties. I just think that they are just asking for a little bit too much attention. I've always thought, you know, you're gonna have a baby shower and all the attention is already on you, so why would you want a gender reveal to draw more attention to yourself? But I realize now that that was more me being jealous and me being kind of bitter about other people having gender reveal parties, and I just thought, you know, this is a moment for the family and this is a moment for my husband and I, so I want to go ahead and do this. I want to do this. My sisters, who are the best party planners ever, they decided to plan a gender reveal dinner just for my husband and I and both of our immediate families. 1 week after the genetic testing, my doctor called me and told me that there were no genetic issues at all, no abnormalities, and the gender results are in. She kindly put the gender in an envelope. I went and picked the envelope up and I brought it to my sister, who was going to put the gender reveal party together. I had gut feelings from the very beginning that this baby was going to be a boy, but you know, you never really know. There's a 50-50 chance that, you know, you're gonna have a boy or a girl, obviously. So I felt from my heart that it was gonna be a boy, but my husband, you know, he just kept saying, I don't know, like it feels either way. And I come from a family, we have 5 girls and 1 boy, and my husband has 2 sisters and he's the only boy. So everyone thought it was gonna be a girl. The gender reveal party was held at my mother's house, and we cut the cake and found out we were having a boy. So I guess my shirt was like foreshadowing that a little bit, telling you guys like, hey, blue for boy. Funny. Since my husband is the only boy in his family, we get to carry on our last name, and it was just the happiest day ever. And I actually do have a video of that if you want to go check it out. It is just one of the most special moments. Every time I watch it, it's like I'm finding out again for the first time. So it is just the most magical feeling, knowing that I'm carrying my son. I still can't believe I can say that. I'm carrying my son. So at the gender reveal, we were ending the first trimester. We had an appointment the following Monday, and I just had a really quick ultrasound, and it was confirmed a boy. Let's just say that. My son was just moving around, doing flips and in my tummy, and just being a happy little baby. So that made me feel really good and really happy. So far, this pregnancy has been very good. I'm super blessed to have been given this gift with my husband. In terms of this being a high-risk pregnancy, I am working very hard on my blood sugars. I'm currently using my Omnipod insulin pump system, as well as the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor. The Dexcom has been extremely helpful in keeping a tight control over my blood sugars. I have been able to bring my A1C down from a 7.8 down to a 7.5 and now down to a 7.3. So I am making strides and I am doing my very best. I have always been a very picky eater and a very healthy eater. So I'm just trying to do my best and do what I can for the baby. I have not had any issues due to type 1 diabetes with my pregnancy, and for that I am very thankful, and I will continue to work hard, so hopefully I don't have any of those issues, but if I do, that is okay too. I'm currently a part of a type 1 diabetes and pregnancy group on Facebook. You also search high-risk pregnancy or first pregnancy or type 1 diabetes and pregnancy hashtags on Instagram or on any social media, you'll find a boatload, a plethora of women who are going through the exact same thing, and you will find a lot of comfort and a lot of help in women who are going through the same thing as you. Here I will show you guys my baby bump. So there he is, my little baby, doing good. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you have any ideas for videos that you would like me to do in the future, whether it's related to beauty, health, diabetes, pregnancy, whatever, just leave them in the comments down below. I hope you guys are having a great day and an awesome week, and I will talk to you later.